بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of Bidayatul Hikmah, chapter 12, section 12, which is the last section. Today, inshallah, we study chapter 7 and chapter 8. Chapter 6 was about his power, and before that we talked about his knowledge. So now we want to talk about his life. What does it mean to be living? In the Quran and also other Abrahamic traditions, one of the qualities of God is the living, Al-Hayy. And if you have listened to my lectures on life, you know that the Quran considers this as a very important quality. Sometimes it comes after Tawheed. Allahu la ilaha illahu al-Hayy. Sometimes it comes even before Tawheed. Huwa al-Hayy la ilaha illahu. It's very important, because if God is not living, for example, if God is dead, what can he do? Or even if he is not dead, he is sleeping, then he would lose control. Or even if he is not sleeping, he is sleepy. Again, it's a problem. لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. Neither he sleeps nor he becomes sleepy, because then things can go wrong in the world, or who is going to control them, who is going to manage them. Actually, they cannot exist if he doesn't have full attention. So, life of God is very important. Also in our du'as, for example, in Du'a Joshan Kabir, one passage is all about life. In Du'a Ahd, again, refers to Allah's life. So it's very important quality. Now, theologians and philosophers have to explain what does it mean. For sure, it cannot mean physical life. When we look at life, we think it's a matter of breathing, eating, drinking, reproduction, things like this. These signs of life in us are not available in God, because these are signs of limits, signs of deficiency. Someone who is absolute and the most perfect and not changeable would not have such things as breathing or eating or drinking or reproducing. What you have to do, you have to find the core meaning of something and then attribute it to God. Like knowledge. Even when we say God has knowledge, it's not through mind and concepts. It's not a matter of salam alaikum, learning or forgetting or asking. Or when we say God has power, it's not a matter of muscles. Yeah? So, if a concept which is used for human beings and other beings is to be used for God as well, as we said in Aqaid before, you have to see whether that concept in essence is a matter of limitation and deficiency, or in essence is okay, but it can have some surroundings which are problem. Okay? For example, we cannot say God sleeps, because the essence of this concept has a problem. Or to say God eats or drinks, the essence has a problem. But if we say God has knowledge, the essence is okay. Just be careful and remove anything that is available in human knowledge and is not possible to be attributed to God, because it's a matter of deficiency. For example, our knowledge comes through mind and concepts. This cannot be for God. But this is not the essence of knowledge. So, about life, the same. Life as such is a very good concept. It's a concept that shows perfection. Yeah, it's not like sleeping or eating or drinking or dying, things like this. But be careful. Keep the essence and the core meaning of life, but leave aside, salam alaikum, those things about life which are limited, like breathing, eating, drinking, reproduction, etc. So, now the question is, what is that core meaning for life? Philosophers and some theologians have mentioned two major components. They said if you look at life, there are two things that you cannot compromise about. You can compromise about breathing or eating or drinking, but there are two things that you cannot compromise about. One is knowledge, a kind of awareness and consciousness. Second is power. Something which has life, has both knowledge and power. Then power also, as you remember, we said كون الشيء مصدرا للفعل عن علم. We said power is that something can do something with understanding. We said an engine may do something, but philosophically we don't say engine has qudra. You can say engine has force, but you cannot say has power philosophically. So Allah's life is reduced to knowledge and power, but power itself was also reduced to knowledge. So you can say life is a kind of knowledge. The same as we said about Sama and Basar, and we will say about Irada. Some of you who have heard my lectures about theory of education, I say in Islam, without exaggeration, knowledge is either the most important quality of God or one of the most important. But I think you can say the most important, because knowledge brings other good qualities. And this shows then why Islam so much emphasizes on learning and teaching, because this is the way to get closer to God. So if you look at the text, Al-Fasl al-Sabi' fi hayatihi ta'ala, chapter 7 on God's life. Al-Hayyu indana huwa darrakul fa'al. The living, Al-Hayy is the living. For us, is the one who has idrak, darrak means the one who understands a lot. He has perception and understanding. And fa'al means acts a lot. Yeah, so someone who is understanding and doing things is alive. فالحياة مبدأ الإدراك والفعل. So life is the origin or the source or the principle, according to philosophy. Sometimes they mean philosophy, principle in this way, mabda. It's a principle for understanding and acting, or a source, you can say, for understanding and acting. أي مبدأ العلم والقدرة. إدراك means ilm, fail means you have to have qudra, power. So hayat means the source of knowledge and power. Or you can say أو أمر يلازمه العلم والقدرة. Or if you are hesitant to say it's the source of that, you can say it's something that we don't know how to explain it, but we know it is something that its lazim, its requirement is knowledge and power. So if you ask me, for example, according to these people, how do you define life? They say, I cannot define life, but I can tell you life is something that always comes with knowledge and power. وَإِذْ كَانَتِ الْحَيَاةُ تُحْمَلُ عَلَيْنَا وَالْعِلْمُ وَالْقُدْرَةُ فِينَا زَائِدَتَانِ عَلَى الذَّاتِ فَحَمْلُهَا عَلَى مَا كَانَتَا فِيهِ موجودتين للذات على نحو العلمية كالذات الواجبة الوجود بالذات أولى وأحق. And when knowledge, when we have life, okay, we can say we are alive. This is true even if we know that in our essence we lack knowledge and power, because in us these are not essential qualities, these are accidental qualities. So although in my essence, or you in your essence, you lack knowledge and power, you can acquire it, but still we can say you are alive. What about Wajibul Wujud, who in his essence has knowledge and power? So we can say he also in his essence is alive. For us, life cannot be essential, while life depends on knowledge and power, and knowledge and power in us are not essential. Yeah? In us, they are outside, they are acquired. But for God, knowledge and power are essential, life is also essential. So, إذ كانت الحياة تحمل علينا. When life is predicated for us, والعلم والقدرة فينا زائدتان على الذات. While knowledge and power are additional to our essence, فحملها سلام على ما كانتا فيه موجودين للذات. If the life, hayat, can be used as a predicate for us, can be attributed to us, while knowledge and power are additional, accidental. If that is the case, so to use it as a predicate for something that كانتا فيه موجودتين للذات, for something that these two, knowledge and power, exist for its essence, على نحو العلمية, in the way of this is the same, كالذات الواجبة الوجود بالذات, like the essence of necessary being, أولى وأحق. So حملها, to attribute it to something that in its essence has knowledge and power, like wajib al-wujud, would be أولى, it has priority, وأحق, it's more correct. Yeah. So if you can say a human being, an animal, which doesn't have knowledge and power in essence, this animal or human being is alive, What about wajibul wujud? For sure, for wajibul wujud, it's more easier to say he has life because he has knowledge and power in his essence. فَهُوَ تَعَالَى حَيَاتٌ وَحَيٌّ بِالذَّاتِ. You can say for God, God is Hay. You can also say God is Hayat. God is life. Because his essence is life. You can say God is Ilm, or you can say God is Alim. Another argument is that who has given us knowledge? In the past we said Mufidul Wujud, the one who gives existence, gives also everything else. Whatever we have comes from our originator, from our illatul fa'iliyya, from al-illatul mufida. We cannot have something unless he has it. Yeah. Mu'ta shay la yumkin an yakuna faqidan lishay. He cannot give us something and then he doesn't have it. So if we have it, he has it. Ala annahu ta'ala mufidun lihayat kull hayyin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants the life of every living being. Wa mu'ta shay ghayru faqidin lah. The one that gives something cannot lack it. You cannot give something that you lack. Okay? In philosophical sense, whatever you give, you must have it yourself. Even you know that in philosophical sense, when Allah gives something, Allah doesn't lose it. No? Actually, Allah keeps it and all the time has to give reflection of it to ma'lul. You know, if Allah gives me knowledge, it's not like someone gives me money, then he doesn't have that money. Yeah? If you give me money, if you give me your book, if you give me anything, it means that no longer you have it. Because either you should have it or me. Okay? But in the case of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he gives something, he still has it. Okay? It's like, for example, I have a home, it's my property, but I say, you can also live inside my home. It doesn't become yours. Yes, you can say to someone else that I have given place that this is my room. He says, that is my room. But both of you must know that this is my home. You don't own anything. But you know, the thing is that as soon as we use something, or we have right to use something, say, it's mine. Yeah? This is, even people in prison, I think they fight over, you know, which corner to sleep. And say, it's in my corner, it's in my corner. The problem. Okay, so this is about life of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I have a kind of understanding I share quickly. I have explained in some lectures about life, about Hayat al-Tayyibah. In my understanding, life has three elements. Although they say two, but actually, if you analyze it further, it's three. Knowledge, power, and irada. Because for them, power involves irada. Yeah? كون الفاعل بحيث إذا شاء فعل وإذا لم يشأ لم يفعل. So power for them involves mashiyah and irada. But I say let's... Pardon? Yes. So let's put all the three elements on the table. Knowledge, power, and irada. Okay? All levels of life have these three. But when you go higher, these three become more obvious. For example, Allah has absolute knowledge, absolute power, absolute irada. Whatever He wants happens. When it comes down, it becomes less. When it reaches plants, for example, you may wonder, do plants have knowledge? Do they have, will? The reality is yes. Every plant has some kind of awareness that a stone doesn't have. Every living being has a kind of awareness, responds to what happens around, and every living being wants to protect itself. It's very important. Life always comes with self-protection. They don't just surrender and give in. They resist and they want to continue. So every living being protects itself, but also wants to make sure that passes on life to next generation. It's in every living being. But sometimes this life is almost like death, but not death. There is an expression in the Quran very beautiful about people who are in hell. لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا. They are not dead, because if they were dead, they had no understanding. Someone who is suffering, who has pain, being punished, he is not dead. They wish if they were dead. Yeah? نادوا يا مالك ليقضي علينا ربك. They say to the patron of hell, we wish your Lord would terminate us. Yes? So they wish to die, but they don't die. So they have to suffer. Of course, this is negative suffering. So they have knowledge. But why Quran says, لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا? Because they are in a state between life and death. They understand, but they cannot do anything to help themselves. If I understand, but I cannot do anything, I have no willpower or no power, then I am like a dead person, but not exactly dead. So I have this advantage of death and disadvantage of life. Disadvantage of death is that I cannot do anything to protect myself. Disadvantage of life is that I have pain. Okay? So, in my understanding, life has these three elements, and in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala you have it at maximum. In mujarradat you have it also very high level, and also people of heaven. People of heaven, their life is very hard. First of all, إِنَّ الدَّارَ الْآخِرَةَ لَهِيَ الْحَيَوَانِ. The hereafter is full of understanding, especially we are talking about heaven. Everything is full of life. It's very difficult for us to imagine, but I think in heaven, when you smell a flower, that flower shows some understanding to you. That flower welcomes you. It makes its fragrance available to you. It shows that there is understanding. It's not like a dead thing. Everything welcomes you. Everything shows appreciation. Yeah, everything shows that they are excited that you are there in heaven. And also you have irada. لَهُمْ مَا يَشَاءُونَ فِيهِ. Whatever you want, you will have it. Just today I was reading that one of our ulama, the late Tabarsi, he says about, he has Majma'ul Bayan. Before Al-Mizan, this used to be the most used tafsir for the Shia scholars. So he says about the ayah, يُفَجِّرُونَهَا تَفْجِيرًا. Yeah, Allah says they bring a spring of water out. Like tafjir means like explosion, that means they bring it out. He says, in dunya you enjoy being near a spring. You have to go to a spring. For example, in mountain, you find a spring and you enjoy it. But in heaven, you don't need to go towards a spring. Wherever you are, if you want a spring, you make the niyyah and irada, the spring is there. You make the spring. يُفَجِّرُونَهَا تَفْجِيرًا. لَهُمْ مَا يَشَاءُونَ فِيهَا. Whatever they want is there. So this shows how strong is their life, because they have understanding, they have willpower and ability to do what they like. Of course, because they are rational, they don't desire to do bad things or impossible things. Yeah? In dunya, we suffer sometimes because we want something which is possible, but we don't get it. But sometimes we suffer because we want things which are not possible. Yeah? For example, you want not to die, for example. Or you want to fly, without any plane, whatever. Sometimes you want something which are not realistic. But in the hereafter, whatever you want, you will get it, but you don't want something which is irrational. For example, in heaven, you don't say, I want to be better than the Prophet. You never think that you want to be better than Prophet or better than anyone who is higher than you. If there is someone in heaven higher than you, you enjoy being with them and you want to benefit from them. In dunya, some people, when someone is higher, enjoy being with them. Sometimes people suffer. Why someone is higher than me? But in heaven, you only enjoy. So, at the same time that your desires can be met, but your desires don't originate from ego, from selfishness. It's very beautiful kind of life. The same is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He can do everything, but He never does anything bad. Because the desire comes from the knowledge of the best. Inshallah, now we talk about irada. That irada is knowledge about the best system. Okay, let's go now to the next chapter, chapter 8. الفصل الثامن في إرادته تعالى وكلامه. Another quality of God is irada, will of God. And inshallah, after we discuss this, then we talk about His speech, kalam. They have said irada means knowledge of God, of النظام الأصلح, علمه بالنظام الأصلح, his knowledge of the best system, the most beneficial system. If you remember in our discussions about divine justice, we kept saying physical world is not perfect, but it's the best possible world within parameters of physics. It's the best. And for serving the purpose is perfect. Because for serving the purpose of testing people and giving them opportunity, if this world was perfect, it was not perfect for our purpose. Yeah? As I said, if you want to train commandos, if you have 5-star hotels, is not perfect. You have to have a place with challenges and difficulties. That is perfect for training command. So this physical world is not perfect, but is the best possible world, and for our purpose is perfect. We cannot have anything better than this for the purpose that we have in dunya. As far as the creation is concerned, it could be better if we acted better, but the creation is the best. So they said, irada of God is his knowledge of this system, which is the best system. Aslah, salih is good, righteous. Aslah is the most righteous, it's the best. So, in other words, the fact that he knows what is better or best, that's his irada. He doesn't need, like us, to go through another stage. When we know something, then we make a decision, and then we want it. Then we will it. Yeah? For example, you think about having a trip. You think about it, then if you realize it's a good thing, you develop desire. When the desire increases, as they say, shawq mu'akkad, and your desire, eagerness becomes very strong, then you decide to do it. Okay? For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no such a, long list of psychological and mental steps. His will is his knowledge. He knows what is the best, and that is what he wants. قالوا إرادته تعالى علمه بالنظام الأصلح. They have said, will of God is his knowledge of the best system. وبعبارة أخرى, in other words, علمه بكون الفعل خيرا, his knowledge of some action being better. فهي, here refers to al-irada, وجه من وجوه علمه. So his irada is one aspect of his knowledge. كما أن السمع بمعنى العلم بالمسموعات والبصر بمعنى العلم بالمبصرات وجهان من وجوه علمه. In the same way that we said Sama and Basar are two types of his knowledge. Because we said, what is Sama? Ilm bil masmu'ah. Knowledge about the things which are heard. Basar, we said, is knowledge about the things which are seen, which are visible. So, we said Sam and Basar go back to knowledge, can be reduced to knowledge. There are two types of knowledge. In the same way, فَهُوَ عَيْنُ ذَاتِهِ. So, in the same way, irada is knowledge of God, and because it is knowledge, it is the same as his essence. Huwa cannot go back to irada. There is a little problem here, unless we say, because irada is ilm, so huwa is used as a male pronoun. So, irada of God is a kind of knowledge of God. What about a speech? How much time do we have? Okay, we can finish, inshallah. What is a speech? Kalam. Kalam in our conventional usage, when we say kalam, we mean using words to indicate meanings. Words are, as you remember in mantiq, a kind of indicator. You remember we said ad-dalala. Dalala has different types. One type of dalala is wad'i. We decide, we designate a term for a meaning. We say ma means water. So when I say uridul ma, I want water, I say few words. These words in themselves didn't have meaning, but by designation we gave them meaning. And sometimes we give them different meanings. In different languages, they can mean different things. Anyway, we pump meaning into these terms. But for God, we don't mean something similar. We don't mean that He has a mouth and throat and He creates some air with sound and then, He speaks so that we understand. No, we have to expand the meaning. Many times, Allama Tabatabai in Introduction to Al-Mizan explains this. Many times we have words that for the first place are used for physical material things, but we have to expand. Like Mizan. Mizan is a scale. A scale is what we use in the shop. But we can stretch the meaning and change it to something which is not physical. Or light, misbah, all these things, sirat. These are things that have physical meaning at the beginning, but we can expand the meaning. So, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we say kalam, it is true that sometimes He creates sounds or, like voice of a human being. He can create. So maybe Musa alayhi salam, when he went near the bush and he heard Innani an Allah, maybe he heard a sound like a human voice. I don't know. Maybe. But it's not always like that. It's not always through creation of words. What is the expanded meaning of a speech? Anything that can indicate another thing, it can be like a speech. For example, a smoke indicates that there is fire. So we can say fire has spoken to us with a smoke. Yes? This is the way you understand that there is smoke. There is fire through a smoke. Or for example, sometimes an alim speaks to us through words. Sometimes he speaks to us through books. Sometimes he speaks to us through deeds and behavior. Sometimes his deeds can speak louder. Sometimes he speaks to us through his students. Yeah? So you don't need only to talk with your tongue. You can express yourself in different ways. Any ma'lul is showing us lots of things about its illah, its cause. Because whatever is ma'lul comes from illah. Yeah? So ma'lul is like word or a speech for illah. In the Quran, sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about His words in the sense of creatures. قُلْ لَوْ كَانَ الْبَحْرُ مِدَادًا لِكَلِمَاتِ رَبِّي. If the sea was ink for writing down the words of my Lord. What does word here mean? It means creatures, the things that Allah has created. Word doesn't mean a spoken word. We have, kalima, we have kalamat tammat about infallibles. So kalima doesn't necessarily mean word. Any effect is like a word in which the cause is expressed. And if you have few effects, or if there is a hierarchy of effects, which one is the best speech? Which one is the best word? The highest one. Yes? It's like, for example, if I have 5 classes, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, all of them say something about me, but the highest one says something more. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a hierarchy of creatures, and each of them is a word. Each of them speaks about him. But those which are higher in rank, they speak more. So although we are all words of God, but Allah in a special way says Isa alayhi salam was kalimatin min, a word from him. It's a special word. In a paper about the word of God, I have explained the usage of word and different meanings of word in the Quran, in Islamic reference series, volume 2, about word of God. What does it mean in the Quran? Yes, it's an essay. Or sometimes in the Quran you use in the sense of generative word. When Allah wants something to happen, says kun fayakun. This is generative word. So, قالوا الكلام فيما نتعارفه لفظ دال على ما في الضمير. They have said, speech, in what we are used to it, conventional, ordinary. Lafzun, what is a speech? Lafzun, term, dalun ala ma fi dhamir, which expresses and indicates what is inside. Yeah, your words express the meaning which is inside you. Kashifun an, it relays and unveils that. Yeah, you are hidden, but your words show you, express you. Of course, sometimes you can express yourself through your gesture also. Yeah. فَهُنَاكَ مَوْجُودٌ اعْتِبَارِيٌّ. In the ordinary usage, we have lafz, which is i'tibari, وَهُوَ اللَّفْظُ الْمَوْضُوعِ, because it is what you coin, what you designate. Lafz doesn't existentially have any connection to the meaning. You can decide. You could have called ma, for example, something else, as people in other languages have. فهناك موجود اعتباري يدل دلالة وضعية اعتبارية على موجود آخر. So there is a being which is not real, we have designated it, which indicate a kind of indication which is by designation and by our decision, indicates another being. وَهُوَ الَّذِي فِي الذِّهْنِ, and the other being is in our mind. So lafz is said and uttered by our tongue, but it indicates a meaning in our mind. وَلَوْ كَانَ هُنَاكَ مَوْجُودٌ حَقِيقِي. But if there was a real being, دال بالدلالة التبعية على موجود آخر كذلك, which was naturally indicating, not وضعي, تبعي. Yeah, if dalala was tab'i like a smoke and fire, it doesn't need designation. If there was a real being which was indicating a natural way of indicating, was indicating what? Another being, كالأثر الدال على مؤثره, like the effect which indicates its creator. A smoke or a painting or a book, a farm, they all show something about their creator. وصفة الكمال في المعلول الكاشفة عن الكمال الأتم في علته. Or instead of athar, you can say a quality of perfection in the effect shows that this perfection is also in the cause. Whatever quality, for example, we have, Allah has them. So our perfection, limited perfection, shows that He also has them, but He has them in a different way. We have it with limits, He has it without limits. So if there was a real being that was indicating, كان أولى وأحق بأن يسمى كلاما, it was better and it deserved more to be called kalam, a speech. لقوة دلالته, because its indication is strong. If I write fire in English, I write fire or I say fire, you understand? Fire. This is indication. Yeah? When I say fire, the meaning of fire comes to your mind. But if you can see the smoke, it's more powerful. So this is better to be called a speech. وَلَوْ كَانَ هُنَاكَ موجود أحدي الذات ذو صفات كمال في ذاته بحيث يكشف بتفاصيل كلامه وما تترتب عليه من الآثار عن وجوده الأوحدي وهو الواجب كان أولى وأحق باسم الكلام. And if we go further, even not between effect and cause, if we go further and reach the essence of God, which is awhadi, no way any multiplicity goes there. No parts, no partner, nothing of multiplicity is there. Essence of God has perfection, different types of perfection. So these perfections which are in God, like His knowledge, like His power, His will, they also show Him to us. They express Him to us. So that's the best speech, that His qualities speak about Him. هو متكلم لوجود ذاته لذاته. So God is the speaker because His essence exists for Himself. So He talks about Himself. The best person to speak about God is God Himself. Not through a spoken words, because this is still limited. His spoken words are better than our spoken words. But His qualities are the best thing that talk about Him. And of course, maybe if someone goes higher, His essence. But for us, it's very difficult to understand His essence unless we approach it through qualities and actions. Some may be able to go through go through these and reach the essence. but maybe it's very, very rare and difficult. Okay, so far was the idea of mashhur, qalu. Allama Tabatabai doesn't have any problem with this. What we have said about irada and what we have said about kalam, he doesn't have any problem with that. But he says, why you want to take irada and kalam as qualities of essence, as sifat al-zat, so that you now refer it to knowledge. We can take irada and kalam as qualities of action. And he says this is different then, and we will talk about it later. أقول, Allah says, فيه إرجاع تحليلي لمعنى الإرادة والكلام إلى وجه من وجوه العلم والقدرة. He says, in this, there is an analytic reduction of the meanings of irada and kalam, will and speech, to some dimensions or aspects of knowledge and power. So there is no need, لا ضرورة تدعو إلى إفرادهما عن العلم والقدرة. So we don't need to separate them from knowledge and power. وما نسب إليه تعالى في الكتاب والسنة من الإرادة والكلام, what has been attributed to God in the Quran and Sunnah, that God has knowledge and God speaks, is not as a quality of essence. أريد به صفة الفعل, by which a quality of action. And this is why it can be changing, it can have time. You remember we said Sifat al-Fi'l can have time. Today God forgave me. Today God gave me a child. Yeah? Qualities of action have two sides, and we said if one side has time, the other side also might be fixed, but the relation can be changing. Yeah? Like sun, we said if sun is fixed, but you can go under sun, say sun started shining on me, or go away and say sun doesn't shine on me. بالمعنى الذي سيأتي إن شاء الله, with the meaning that inshallah will come later in the next chapter, because next chapter is about actions of God. So alhamdulillah, we finished discussion about his will and his speech. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.